Hello, this is Rochelle Agatha, and this is the lecture on basic Excel. I realize that many students take this class with no Excel experience, and many take it with Excel. So if you're one of the people that have a good Excel background, you can take this as a review. For those of you who know nothing about Excel, this should get you started in this class. So when you open Excel, and you do need the real Excel for this class, you can't use a different program, Open Office, whatever, you have to use Excel. So I'm in Excel 2010. When you open up Excel, you'll have a blank worksheet, and this is the Excel worksheet page. Notice that Excel is made up of columns that have letters and rows that have numbers, and it has sheets. Every blank workbook opens up with 3 sheets, and you can add many sheets, and they just come in and they're numbered. So this is your painting background, if you will. So I have several things that we're going to cover in our Excel basics overview, and these are the topics that we're going to cover. So a new workbook, as I just went over, has rows and columns, and where a column and a row intersect is called a cell. So take your eyes up to the upper left, and you'll see in the name box the cell reference. So wherever you are in a workbook, you'll be able to tell where you are very easily by looking up in the name box. So you can see you're in H6. So in Excel, that's how it does everything. It references the row and the column, and it uses that reference in all formulas. So once again, where a column and a row intersect is called a cell, and the cell reference shows up in the name box. This is your address bar, and this is where things will show up as you type or do formulas. So right here where it says new workbook, this is where it was actually typed. Now if you're using the Mac version, you can use the Mac version in this class. I have a Mac and I have a PC, and I use both interchangeably. There are some differences in the Mac version that I tend to mention throughout the course. They're nothing major. One is you can't make a tab color in the Mac version, and you can in the PC version. So let's just kind of go over clicking. I'm a clicker person. I right click my mouse. So right now I am sitting here and I can come down to the sheet name and I can right click it, and I can say I want a tab color. So I'm going to pick blue, and there's my tab color. You can't pick a color in the Mac version right now. Maybe in the later version, the newer version that might come out eventually, they will. So I can right click and I can bring up my short menu in Excel. So go ahead and practice right clicking, and you'll see that the short menu shows up. Let's go up to the top and go over the quick access toolbar. You may not see as many icons in your quick access toolbar. You can press the drop down menu and select the ones you want. These are the ones I use the most often, so those are why I have them selected this way. Once again, that is the quick access toolbar. This is your ribbon with all of your menu items. So across the top, these are my menus, and we're going to kind of go through most of them, at least an overview here in this lecture. Once again, this is my sheet, my sheets. I can add a sheet by, notice Excel has a little cheat thing that shows up. Right now it's saying insert worksheet, Shift F11. You can have shortcut keys. Mostly I right click on everything. I've been using Excel for a really long time, and it's just the style of whatever you want to do. You can remember the shortcut keys, or you can right click. If I want to insert a sheet, I just click on this little thing, and I'm just inserting them as I go. It's that simple. If I want to delete a sheet, I can right click on it and I can say delete, and the sheet goes away. So that's how you add and delete sheets. You can move them around by dragging them. So I'm just pressing my left click button and I'm dragging it, and that's how I move it around. Okay, so we talked about the new workbook and sheets. If I want to copy a sheet, I right click and I can say move or copy, and I can press create a copy, and then I can say I want it to go right under the one I have, and it shows up with the same name with a 2 on it. So that's how you would copy a sheet, and that becomes really you're going to be doing that a lot in this class. I'll tell you to do one thing, then copy the sheet and do another one. I'm going to delete that. Okay, I went over the quick access toolbar. I went over the ribbon. Let's go over the menu. The home menu is where you do most of your formatting. Notice these are all formatting items. Insert, you're going to be doing charts in this one, and that's probably all we're pretty much doing in this class. There's some more advanced things in here. Page layout I'm going to go over in just a minute. A lot of that is very important. Formulas, there's a great deal of mathematical capability of Excel. Data, we're going to be doing a lot of things in the data menu option. Review is where the spelling is, but I like my spelling up at the tops to make it simple. We're going to talk about protecting the workbook. The view is where you freeze your panes. We're going to go over this in a minute. I have add-ins because I have other programs that allow me to add into Excel. So you may not have the add-in or the Acrobat tabs on yours, depending on if you have these other programs like I do. Okay, let's talk about page layout. Let's go in here because you need to understand page layout. Page layout lets you do a lot of things. Notice there's this other arrow here, and it brings up another menu. This is where you can set your your orientation to be landscape or portrait. Your paper size, you can adjust it to fit to one page, which I'm going to go over here in a minute because that is something I require. Your margins, you can set them all here by just picking what you want on the top and the bottom and the right and the left. You can set it to print vertically or horizontally on the page. Your header and your footer is very important. So let's go back and say I'm going to name this, this is my Excel basic lecture. Okay, so I'm going to call that. And I want the file name and the sheet name to appear in my footer. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to say, go to my footers, click on my custom footer, and I'm going to say I want the file name and the sheet name. So I'm going to click on the file name, and I usually put a colon or something between them so they don't bleed into each other, and my sheet name. And then let's say I want the date off to this side. And you can add page numbers, etc. And then I say OK. OK. Now when I do a quick print preview, there's the sheet and the file name and the sheet name and the date down below. I can see my margins here by clicking on the margin button, and then I can actually drag them if I want to. I tend to do this because it's simpler for me than figuring out if I want a ½ inch or an inch or whatever the case may be. I'll go back to my home. Notice some of it didn't print on it, so I want the whole thing to print. And this is something I tell you to do in several of the assignments. I have my set print area quick button already linked up here, so I will click it, and then I have to go back in my page layout and say I want it to fit one page by one page. Then I can print preview, and notice now it all fits in one page. So play around with these page layout options for the print area, the size, the orientation, etc., because it's really important. You can, in here you can do a footer or a header. I went over the footer, the header's the same thing. In the sheet, if you want something to print on every page, go into the sheet and you can have, say, you want these rows to print on every page, and you want these columns to print on every page. That's where you would do it. And it becomes important in very large spreadsheets. I'm going to cancel that because this one's little. Let's talk about Excel options. When you click on the File button, there is an Option button, and this is where you can set up standard things for when you open a workbook. So for instance, there's just a ton of things to choose here. For the most part, you don't want to change anything. However, if you want excuse me, if you want things to be flagged, go ahead and look through them so that you can see, like, this is where it will auto recover different options that are set standard that you're allowed to change. Here's the advanced tab, and you can go ahead and check just kind of all the different options that you have. There's tons of them. Once again, this is kind of a little bit more advanced, but I just wanted to show you if you're ever looking for the Excel options, here they are right here. And here's another quick access toolbar spot where you can go ahead and add things to it. Let's talk about formatting. Formatting for the most part is on the Home tab. You can right click and do a lot of formatting. If you want borders around something, you can go ahead and just highlight the tab and make borders. If you want to shade something, you can shade it. You could change the font color. So you have a lot of attributes for formatting. So let's just unclick all these. Okay. Merge and center is a cool thing to be able to do. If you have, like I have here, a header that I wanted to go over 3 columns, I merged and centered it, so I'm going to undo it. And you can see I typed it in D, and then I go, well, I want to center it over all 3, so I merge and center it. If I want to wrap text because something is really long and I want it to not bleed over, so first, let me show you how you can widen and shrink a column just by dragging it, and you can do the same thing with the rows. You can double click on it and it will automatically find it. Notice that this turned into 2 little arrows. Let me do it again. Double click, it finds it. But let's say you're working on a spreadsheet and you need it to wrap the text. You can select wrap text, and then all of a sudden it wraps it, so you don't need the column to be so wide. So those are your options. Play around with that. All of your dollar signs and numbers are here. Let's see. I don't have anything really typed, but let me put, when you type a number in, it just does it with nothing, no comma, no dollar. You can click the comma. It automatically puts 2 decimals. Then you can get rid of the decimals by clicking on these here, add or delete. You can have the dollar sign. Notice that the dollar sign rests against the number, and you can choose more accounting formats, and you can pick currency, and then let's go ahead and just pick currency, and then you can just kind of see what it does for you. So the other thing you can do when you're in a cell is right click and pick format cells, and this menu will come up. So you can select accounting or currency, whichever you want. And let me mention that general, sometimes if you're bringing dumps in from other programs, the numbers will come in odd, and you might want to use the general format, which is a no specific format. And sometimes if you're uploading or downloading files, you might want to pick the general format because it doesn't give you any problems. It strips the formatting off of it. So it's kind of a little bit of review of just basic formatting. What's next? I showed you how to insert a row and a column. Global settings, if you want to do a whole row, so I have this whole row of numbers. I can highlight it and I can click up here and just pick, and it'll do the whole row. So notice here that, see how the dollar sign is separated from the number, and I can pick other, I can pick currency, and then it puts the dollar right next to it. So you can do that globally. You can do it from this way, or you can do a whole worksheet. That's what global settings mean. Dates are really important. So here, let's say you have 2 dates and you want to find the math between the dates, and we're going to have a math lecture in a moment. This is more of a formatting thing. If you had 2 dates and then you wanted to subtract them, notice there's 31 dates between these 2 dates. The key is that the date that you're finding in the formula has to be a number format, not a date format. If I go back and I say put it in a date, that means nothing to you. But if you're doing math with dates, the key is use, oops, I didn't mean to do that. The key is to make sure the resultant cell is formatted as a number format so that it works. This is important in accounting when you do accounts receivable, aging days, etc. Autofill is cool. See how these numbers here that I have? Let's delete them. And let's say that I had a really long list. All I have to do is type the first 3 and drag it down, and it autofills for me. So once again, all I have to do, if I think about a list of thousands and you want to just drag it, you grab the bottom of the cell, see the little, how it turns into a plus sign, and drag it down, and that's autofill. Column widths, I showed you that you can double click and it will make them the right width. Cell and sheet protection is up in the review. If you want to protect your sheet or protect your workbook with passwords, you can click on these and make sure that that the cells are either they're locked and unlocked depending on what you're doing, and then you would type a password in to unprotect the sheet or to protect the sheet. So lots of times if you're sharing spreadsheets with people, you want to protect a sheet, not necessarily a whole workbook. If you want to protect a whole workbook, you're going to do it from within the protect workbook. We aren't going to do this in this class. I just wanted to mention it. If you want to group and ungroup, the data tab is really cool. We're going to do filtering and sorting later. But let's say you don't want to show all this. You just want to show the bottom line. You can highlight them and you can say group. And then it puts this little minus sign and you can click it, and then all of that is gone for the visual of the eye, and then you can ungroup it. So this becomes really important when you're looking at very large accounting spreadsheets and you're focusing the eye on a subtotal or a total. Freeze panes I do all the time, and you're going to see it in a lot of the stuff that I do. Go into the View tab and put your cell cursor where you want to freeze it, and you say freeze, and you can say freeze panes. And notice now it's frozen, so this will stay. When I go off to the side, it stays, and when I go down below, it will stay. And that's really, it works, it's really something very useful when you're looking at people's names or social security numbers or something, some spreadsheet you're doing and you're trying to keep the data still, and then you can unfreeze it. So those are the basic Excel things that I wanted to cover if you've never used Excel before. So if you have any questions, send me an email. This will get you started. Make sure you save often by clicking on your save button, and I save, I'll hit save every few minutes because I'm fanatical about what I do in Excel. So once again, send me an email if you have any questions. Thanks.